There comes a moment in life where you've got to understand the battleground is not out there. The battleground is in here. The war you are fighting is not just with circumstances, not just with people, not just with money or opportunity. It's with your own mind. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you don't change your mind, you will never change your life. Your thoughts are architects. Your thoughts are builders. Your thoughts are seeds that create your harvest. And as long as you keep letting negative thinking, defeated thinking, fearful thinking dominate your spirit, you will keep repeating the same cycles. But if you dare to shift your mind, if you dare to align your thoughts with vision, with faith, with possibility, then your future will open up like a door that's been waiting on you to knock. Don't you know that your destiny is not locked in your environment? It's locked in your mindset. You can't walk into tomorrow carrying yesterday's thoughts. You can't birth a future thinking with the patterns of your past. But the moment you change your thoughts, you change your future. And today I came to declare over your life, it's time to think different so you can live different. Your mind is the steering wheel of your life. To what you focus on. You move toward negative thinking, change you to the past. Faith-driven thoughts create new possibilities. Renewing your mind renews your destiny. Transformation begins with thought revolution. Your mind is the steering wheel of your life. Wherever your thoughts go, that's where your life will follow. Many people don't understand this, but every decision you've ever made, every direction you've ever taken, every step that has brought you to where you are right now began in your thought. Before you ever said the words, before you ever made the move, before you ever took the risk, you thought it. And whether you thought small or you thought big, whether you thought in fear or you thought in faith, your life simply became a reflection of that mindset. Just like a car cannot go in a direction unless the driver turns the wheel, your life cannot go anywhere unless your mind turns it there. Think about how powerful that is. You can be sitting in a brand new car with a full tank of gas, an engine that purrs like a lion, and all the horsepower in the world. But if the steering wheel is locked in the wrong direction, you won't reach your destination. That's exactly how your life works. You may have the talent, you may have the resources, you may even have the connections, but if your mind is stuck steering you toward fear, defeat, and doubt, you'll always end up in the wrong place. And the tragedy is not that you don't have what it takes, but that your mind is taking you somewhere you were never meant to go. This is why the Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Notice it doesn't say be transformed by your environment, by your bank account, by your family, or even by your friends. Because the truth is, you could change all of those things and still end up in the same cycles if your mind hasn't shifted. But when your thoughts change, when you decide to turn the steering wheel, everything else begins to line up. That's why some people with less education, less money, less opportunity still rise higher than others because they had the audacity to think different. Let me tell you something. You can't drive forward looking backward. If your steering wheel is turned toward yesterday, your life will keep circling around the same old road. If your mind is filled with what they said about me, what I lost, what didn't work out, then your life will continue to replay that same pain over and over again. But when you decide, I'm steering my mind toward my purpose, I'm steering my thoughts toward where I'm going and not where I've been, then your future starts opening up. Some of you are frustrated right now, not because of what's in your hands, but because of what's in your head. The steering wheel of your life is stuck in the wrong direction. You keep telling yourself you're not enough. You keep replaying failure. You keep feeding fear, and all that's doing is pulling your life into the ditch of despair. But if you would shift your thoughts even just a little, your whole trajectory could change. You don't need everything to change overnight. You just need to start steering your thoughts toward victory instead of defeat. Look at a driver on the highway. If they turn the steering wheel just a little to the left or right, it doesn't look like much in the moment, but give it enough time and they'll end up in a completely different city. That's how your thoughts work. One small shift, deciding to believe you can instead of believing you can't, deciding to see opportunities instead of only seeing obstacles. That small shift can completely change the course of your destiny. You've got to understand that your mind is not a passenger in this journey of life. It's the driver's seat. Everything follows your thought life. Your emotions, your decisions, your actions, your habits, your relationships, your career, they all take their cues from the direction of your thoughts. If you think you're worthless, you'll start acting worthless. If you think you're valuable, you'll start walking in value. If you think you're destined to fail, you'll never step into opportunities. But if you think you're equipped, called, and chosen, you'll start carrying yourself with confidence and boldness. The danger is that too many people have surrendered their steering wheel to the wrong hand. They've let society steer them. They've let opinions steer them. They've let fear steer them. And because of it, they've ended up on roads they were never meant to travel. But today I came to tell you, it's time to take the wheel back. It's time to stop letting other people dictate where your life is going. It's time to reclaim your thoughts, realign your mind, and steer your life in the direction of destiny. You are not powerless. You don't have to keep circling around in confusion, stuck in old sites. You've got the wheel in your hands, your thoughts. And when you begin to fill your mind with possibility, with faith, with vision, you will begin to notice doors opening, opportunities coming, strength rising, and joy returning, because your life will always follow the direction of your thoughts. So the question is, where are you steering yourself? Are you pointing toward purpose, or are you circling around pain? Are you steering toward victory, or are you swerving back into defeat? You don't have to stay. Your life can change. Your destiny can shift. Your future can brighten. But it starts with your mind. Change your thoughts and watch how your entire life begins to move in a new direction. What you focus on, you move to. Life has a way of magnifying whatever you choose to give your attention to. If you keep staring at problems, they grow bigger. If you keep staring at possibilities, they grow brighter. Your focus is the compass of your destiny, and it determines whether you walk in circles or whether you move into purpose. Many people don't realize that they are stuck, not because God hasn't opened doors, not because they lack talent, but because their focus has been locked on the wrong. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you keep gazing at the wrong direction, your life will keep drifting away from where you're supposed to be. Focus is powerful because it fuels your energy. Think about when you were a child learning to ride a bike. They told you don't look at the tree. And what happened? You kept looking at the tree, and that's exactly where you ended up. That's how life works. Whatever has your focus eventually has your direction. If you spend your days focusing on who left you, who hurt you, who doubted you, then your spirit will keep steering toward bitterness and disappointment. But if you choose to focus on who stayed, who believed in you, and the God who is still writing your story, your heart will be pulled toward healing, strength, and victory. The mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you place under it becomes larger, clearer, and more consumed. If all you do is focus on lack, then even blessings will feel too small. If all you do is focus on setbacks, then even progress will look like failure. But when you start focusing on the good, when you start magnifying God's promises, when you start keeping your eyes on where you're going instead of where you've been, suddenly possibilities become visible, and what used to intimidate you starts looking small. That's why the enemy works overtime to distract you, because he knows that if he can steal your focus, he can steal your future. Distraction is one of his greatest weapons. He doesn't have to destroy you. All he has to do is keep your focus chained to the wrong thing. He'll keep you scrolling through people's lives on social media until you start feeling like your own life doesn't measure up. He'll keep your focus on the bills stacking up so you never lift your head to see the opportunities God has placed in front of you. He'll keep you focused on the pain of yesterday so you never step into the joy of tomorrow. But when you decide, I will lift my eyes, I will fix my focus, I will set my thoughts on things above, then your direction begins to change. Focus determines movement. A runner doesn't win a race by looking at the runners beside them. They win by keeping their eyes fixed on the finish line. Likewise, you won't fulfill your purpose if you keep focusing on who's ahead of you or who's behind you. Your strength comes when you fix your focus on the goal, on the vision, on the destiny God has placed in front of you. Some of you are exhausted not because you lack energy, but because you're wasting it focusing on things that don't matter. Every time you focus on negativity, it drains your spirit. Every time you focus on gossip, it distracts your purpose. Every time you focus on fear, it paralyzes your steps. But when you focus on hope, your strength is renewed. When you focus on faith, your courage is stirred. When you focus on vision, your steps become clear. The power of focus is that it aligns everything else in your life. Think about the sun. Its rays are scattered across the earth, warming everything they touch. But when you take those same rays and concentrate them through a magnifying glass, they become so powerful they can start a fire. That's the power of focused energy. When your thoughts are scattered in worry, in doubt, in fear, you'll never see breakthrough. But when your thoughts are aligned, focused on purpose and directed toward vision, you become unstoppable. Focused faith creates fire. That's why the word says, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. It doesn't say glance at him. It doesn't say casually consider him. It says look unto him. Fix your focus on him, because if you keep your eyes on Jesus, you won't drown in the storms around you. Remember Peter, as long as his focus was on Jesus, he walked on water. But the moment his focus shifted to the wind and waves, he began to sink. The same principle applies to you. You won't sink because of the storm. You'll sink because of where your focus is. So ask yourself today, what am I focusing on? Am I staring at the problem, or am I staring at the problem? Am I magnifying the enemy, or am I magnifying my God? Am I dwelling on the pain, or am I pressing toward the purpose? Because where your focus goes, your future flows. If you want to change your life, change your focus. Stop giving your attention to things that steal your joy. Stop rehearsing conversations that keep you bound. Stop fixating on obstacles that paralyze you. Instead, start focusing on gratitude, because gratitude shifts your perspective. Start focusing on growth, because growth leads to progress. Start focusing on vision, because vision pulls you into destiny. Life is full of distractions, but focus is your discipline. You cannot afford to give your energy to every voice, every opinion, every situation. Choose carefully what you give your focus to, because it will decide your outcome. If you focus on the pain, you'll live in defeat. If you focus on the lesson, you'll rise in wisdom. If you focus on fear, you'll remain stuck. If you focus on faith, you'll step into new territory. Your focus is like a seed. Whatever you water grows. If you water worry with your attention, it will multiply. If you water doubt, it will choke your vision. But if you water faith, if you water hope, if you water purpose, then those things will grow stronger in your life. So make the decision today to take back your focus. Don't let circumstances hijack it. Don't let people manipulate it. Don't let distractions steal it. Fix your eyes on where you want to go, on who God says you are, on the future that's ahead of you. Because what you focus on, you will always move toward. Negative thinking chains you to the past, because it locks your mind in cycles that prevent you from seeing what is possible. The past already happened, but negative thoughts replay it like a broken record, dragging yesterday into today and smothering tomorrow. When you allow yourself to dwell on mistakes, betrayals, losses, and failures, you are in effect giving your mind permission to relive pain that was never meant to be permanent. Negative thinking is like an anchor. It keeps you tied to the dock of what was, while the ship of your destiny is waiting to sail into what can be. Every thought you choose to entertain is a seed, and negative thinking plants seeds of doubt, regret, and those seeds grow into weeds that choke out faith and hope. Instead of moving forward, you get stuck rehearsing what went wrong. You replay the time someone rejected you. You replay the time you failed in business. You replay the time you trusted someone and they betrayed you. Each time you relive it, your mind chains itself more tightly to the pain. Soon, the past is no longer something you went through. It becomes the place you live. That's why so many people feel stuck. It's not that the opportunity isn't there. It's not that they don't have talent. It's that their thinking has become a prison that keeps them reliving a life that no longer exists. Negative thinking has a way of whispering lies. It tells you you'll never recover from that mistake.
You'll never rise above your past. You'll never be good enough, smart enough, strong enough. And because you listen to those thoughts, you start building your life around them. Instead of pursuing new opportunities, you stay small. Instead of taking risks, you shrink back. Instead of believing you are worthy of love and success, you sabotage relationships and chance, all because negative thinking convinced you that your past is who you are, rather than something you went through. Think about how often we carry chains disguised as thoughts. I'm not worthy. I can't change. This is just who I am. Nothing good ever happens to me. Those aren't just thoughts. Those are shackles. They keep you tied to yesterday's failures and prevent you from embracing tomorrow's possibilities. As long as you agree with them, you remain back. And here's the truth. The only power those thoughts have is the power you give them by believing them. Negative thinking is also a thief of vision. It makes you so focused on what went wrong that you can't see what can go right. If your mind is always looking backward, you'll miss what's in front of you. Imagine driving a car while staring constantly in the rearview mirror. You'd crash, not because you weren't capable of driving, but because your focus was chained to what was behind you. That's what negative thinking does. It blinds you to the road ahead. Many people never heal because they keep rehearsing instead of releasing. They think they are protecting themselves by remembering every hurt, but in reality, they're chaining themselves to. The brain doesn't distinguish between something you're remembering and something you're experiencing in the present. That's why when you relive trauma or failure, you feel the same emotions as if it's happening again. That's why negative thinking is so dangerous. It recreates the pain of the past in your present and contaminates your future. The tragedy is that when your mind is chained, your potential is also chained. You can have the skill to build a business, the heart to lead people, the talent to create something extraordinary. But if your mind keeps saying, remember when you failed, remember when they laughed at you, remember when you lost everything, you will remain paralyzed. That's why Scripture tells us to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewal means replacement, taking out the old, negative, toxic thoughts and replacing them with thoughts of life, hope, faith, and vision. Until your thoughts are renewed, your life will remain recycled. It's important to understand that negative thinking doesn't just happen, it's a habit. The more you entertain it, the stronger it becomes. It grooves neural pathways in your brain, making it easier to keep thinking the same way. But habits can be broken and chains can be shattered. The first step is awareness, recognizing that the thought is not you, it's something passing through you. Once you recognize it, you can reject it. Once you reject it, you can replace it. And once you replace it, you begin to reshape your future. Some people say, well, I can't control what I think. But you can control what you dwell on. You may not stop a negative thought from knocking on your door, but you can refuse to invite it in and give it dinner. You can choose to shift your focus. When the thought says, you'll never succeed, you can answer with, I'm more than a conqueror. When the thought says, you'll never be free, you can respond, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. When the thought says, you'll always be broken, you can declare, I am healed, I am whole, I am restored. Understand this, your past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. It's something to learn from, not something to live in. Negative thinking chains you there, but faith-driven thinking propels you forward. The choice is yours. Will you stay bound to yesterday's regrets, or will you free your mind to create tomorrow's victories? The danger of staying chained to the past is that it convinces you nothing new is possible. You start expecting disappointment, so even when good things happen, you can't enjoy them because you're waiting for them to fall apart. You start expecting rejection, so even when someone truly loves you, you push them away. You start expecting failure, so even when opportunity knocks, you don't open the door. That's how negative thinking sabotages your future, not by blocking opportunities, but by convincing you not to walk through them. But the truth is, your future is not a reflection of your past, it's a reflection of your thoughts. And the moment you break the chain of negative thinking, you unlock the power to create something new. You can't change what happened to you, but you can change how you think about it. You can decide that the pain was preparation, that the failure was foundation, that the betrayal was redirection. When you reframe your past, it loses the power to chain you. The only thing stronger than the chain of negative thinking is the power of a renewed mind. When you fill your mind with hope, when you focus on growth, when you speak life instead of death, you break the cycle. Suddenly, the same past that once held you back becomes the testimony that propels you forward. You stop being a prisoner of yesterday and become a pioneer of tomorrow. Negative thinking chains you to the past, but positive, faith-filled thinking unlocks the door to your future. You don't have to stay bound. You don't have to keep replaying the same old story. You don't have to live in the shadow of what was. Today you can break the chain. Today you can declare, I will not be defined by my past. I will be directed by my vision. I will not be trapped in what was. I will be transformed by what can be.
Faith-driven thoughts create new possibilities because they shift the foundation on which your life is built. Most people live their lives driven by fear, doubt, and what they can see with their natural eyes. Their thoughts are chained to limitations. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough education. I don't have the right connections. These are fear-based thoughts, and fear-based thoughts create small futures. But when you begin to think with faith, you move from limitation to possibility, from what is to what could be, from the natural to the supernatural. Faith-driven thinking is not denial of reality, but it is refusal to be defined by it. It's the mindset that says, even though I don't see it yet, I believe it's possible. Even though the doors are closed, I believe another one will open. Even though I've failed before, I believe I can succeed this time. Faith-driven thoughts shift your perspective from scarcity to abundance. Scarcity says, there's not enough for me. Faith says, my cup runs over. Scarcity says, I'll never get ahead. Faith says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Scarcity keeps you competing with others because you believe resources are limited. But faith-driven thinking reminds you that God can create rivers in the desert and bread in the wilderness. When you think with faith, you stop worrying about what's missing and start focusing on what's possible. And that shift unlocks creativity, resilience, and endurance that fear can never produce. Consider how faith-driven thinking transforms the way you face obstacles. A fear-driven thought sees a wall and says, this is the end. A faith-driven thought sees the same wall and says, this is an opportunity to climb higher, or maybe God will bring it down. The obstacle doesn't change, but the way you think about it does. And because your thoughts change, your actions change. People who think with fear quit at walls. People who think with faith look for ways over, around, or through them. That difference is why some people never move forward, while others seem to break barriers that looked impossible. Faith-driven thoughts also expand your vision. Fear makes you shrink your dreams to the size of your current resources. Faith makes you stretch your dreams to the size of God's power. A person who thinks in fear will say, I can't start that business until I have investors, perfect timing, and every detail worked out. But a person who thinks in faith says, if God gave me the vision, he will make provision. I may not have everything, but I can start with what's in my hand. Faith-driven thoughts don't ignore reality. They just refuse to let reality dictate destiny. The Bible tells us faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That means faith is not wishful thinking. It's not naive optimism. It is a mindset grounded in the belief that God is bigger than circumstances and that the unseen is just as real as the seen. When you fill your mind with faith-driven thoughts, you are rehearsing the unseen future until it becomes real in your spirit. You are aligning your inner world with the promises of God so that your outer world eventually matches. Faith-driven thoughts create new possibilities because they unlock resilience. When fear controls your thinking, one setback can convince you to quit. But when faith controls your thinking, setbacks become setups. You don't interpret failure as final, you interpret it as part of the process. A faith-driven thinker can lose everything and still say, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. That mindset makes you unstoppable because nothing can break a person who believes every closed door is leading to a better one. Faith-driven thinking also attracts opportunities that fear-driven thinking repels. People are drawn to faith because it inspires them. Leaders who think with faith are the ones who start movements, businesses, and ministries that impact generations. They see what others cannot see, and because they believe it's possible, they act on it. And when you act in faith, resources, people, and opportunities begin to align with you. It's not magic, it's the principle that faith opens doors, fear keeps shut. Think of the story of David and Goliath. Everyone else looked at Goliath through fear-driven thoughts. He's too big to fight. He's undefeatable. But David looked at him through faith-driven thoughts. He's too big to miss. If God delivered me from the lion and the bear, he'll deliver me from this giant. Same giant, different mindset. Fear saw defeat, but faith saw possibility. And because David thought differently, he acted differently, and his life and the destiny of a nation was forever changed. Faith-driven thoughts also create peace in the storm. Life will always have storms, financial struggles, health battles, broken relationships. Fear-driven thoughts magnify the storm. I'm going to drown. I'll never survive this. This is the end. Faith-driven thoughts anchor you in truth. Peace, be still. God is with me in the boat. The storm is temporary, but his promises are eternal. That peace doesn't just comfort you, it gives you clarity to make better decisions in crisis, which in turn shapes your future for the better. Faith-driven thoughts give you permission to dream again. So many people stop dreaming because they've been disappointed too many times. But faith says, don't stop dreaming just because the last one didn't work out. God can still do exceeding abundantly above all you can ask or think. When you allow faith to dominate your thoughts, you don't stop at what's logical or reasonable, you step into what's possible, and that's where breakthroughs are born. It's also important to see that faith-driven thoughts aren't just about you, they ripple into the lives of others. When you think with faith, you inspire your children, your family, your friends, and even strangers. People watch you face challenges with hope, and it gives them courage to do the same. Your faith-driven thoughts can spark faith in others, creating a chain reaction of possibility that extends far beyond your own life. At the end of the day, the battle is not about whether possibilities exist, it's about whether you will believe they do. Fear-driven thoughts will always try to chain you to what is, but faith-driven thoughts open the door to what could be. And when you shift from fear to faith in your thinking, you don't just change your perspective, you change your future. Renewing your mind renews your destiny because the direction of your life flows from the condition of your thought. So many people are frustrated with the outcomes of their lives, the patterns they repeat, the cycles they can't seem to break, the habits that hold them hostage. But they don't realize that these are the fruits of an unrenewed mind. You cannot step into a new future with an old mindset. You cannot build tomorrow's success with yesterday's patterns of thinking. To renew your destiny, you must first renew the way you think. The word renew means to make new again, to refresh, to restore. When your mind is renewed, it's like resetting the software that runs your life. Old files of doubt, fear, bitterness, and failure get deleted, and new files of faith, vision, resilience, and possibility get installed. Your mind is like the soil, and whatever seed you allow to be planted there will grow. If you keep sowing weeds of negativity, you'll reap a harvest of brokenness. But if you sow faith, wisdom, and hope, your harvest will be destiny aligned with purpose. This is why the Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Notice it doesn't say by the renewing of your job, your house, or your friends. The true transformation begins inside you. You can change your clothes, your address, or even your circle of people, but if your mind is still the same, you will recreate the same problems in new environments. Transformation isn't about external fixes, it's about internal renewal. Renewing your mind is not a one-time event, it is a daily discipline. Every day you are bombarded with voices, opinions, and influences trying to shape your thinking. If you are not intentional, you'll wake up years later realizing that your mind was molded by negativity, culture, and fear instead of faith, truth, and vision. That's why renewal is like a spiritual workout. Just as you strengthen your body with consistent exercise, you strengthen your destiny by consistently renewing your mind. Renewing your mind begins with challenging the lies you've believed.
Maybe you've been told you're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy, and maybe your failures have convinced you that success is not for you. Those lies sit in your subconscious like heavy chains, dictating your choices without you even realizing. Renewal is about replacing those lies with truth, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are capable, that your past does not define your future. Renewal isn't about ignoring reality, it's about refusing to let lies become your reality. When your mind is renewed, you stop living as a prisoner of old experiences. Too many people let their past dictate their destiny. They replay old mistakes, old rejections, old traumas in their heads, and it becomes the soundtrack of their lives. But renewal rewrites the soundtrack. Instead of being guided by I can't, you are guided by I can do all things through Christ. Instead of hearing you'll never, you hear with God all things are possible. The renewal of your mind silences the voice of defeat and amplifies the voice of destiny. Renewing your mind also changes the way you see challenges. An unrenewed mind sees problems as proof of failure. A renewed mind sees problems as opportunities for growth. An unrenewed mind complains in the wilderness. A renewed mind says, if I'm in the wilderness, it must mean the promised land is close. This shift in perspective doesn't remove challenges, but it empowers you to overcome them. And when you see differently, you live differently. Renewing your mind creates space for new ideas and possibilities. Sometimes your destiny is waiting on you to stop clinging to outdated ways of thinking. You can't drive into the future looking through the rearview mirror. Renewal requires letting go of limiting beliefs that say, this is how it's always been. Just because it's always been that way doesn't mean it has to stay that way. When your mind is renewed, you open yourself to creativity, innovation, and divine inspiration that moves your life forward. This renewal is not passive, it requires action. You renew your mind by what you feed it. If you constantly feed your mind's negativity, toxic conversations, endless bad news, voices that tear you down, your mind cannot be renewed. But when you feed your mind uplifting words, wisdom, scripture, knowledge, and positive influences, your thoughts begin to shift. Renewal is not magic, it's the product of consistent input. Your destiny changes when your diet of thoughts changes. Renewing your mind also requires intentional boundaries. You can't renew your mind if you keep allowing people to dump garbage into it. You need to guard your thoughts the way you guard your house. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your living room and dump trash all over the floor, but many allow strangers, media, and even friends to dump trash into their minds daily. Renewal is about saying, I will not allow negativity to set up residence in my head. My mind is reserved for vision, faith, and purpose. The beauty of renewing your mind is that it doesn't just change how you think, it changes who you become. When your mind is renewed, your confidence grows, your decisions become clearer, relationships improve because you stop living from a place of insecurity. You pursue opportunities that once intimidated you. You stop sabotaging yourself with negative self-talk. In short, your renewed mind becomes the foundation for a renewed destiny. Think of it like this: your destiny is a house, and your thoughts are the blueprints. If the blueprints are broken, the house will be broken. If the blueprints are renewed, the house will stand strong. Every thought is a line on the blueprint, shaping the structure of your future. Renewing your mind means redrawing the blueprints of your life with vision, faith, and truth, so that your destiny can be built on a firm foundation. And here's the power: when you renew your mind, you don't just change your own life, you change generations. Your renewed thoughts create a new legacy. Instead of passing down fear, you pass down faith. Instead of handing your children a mindset of survival, you hand them a mindset of abundance. Renewal is not just about you, it's about everyone connected to you. At the core of it all, renewing your mind renews your destiny, because your life will always rise or fall to the level of your thinking. If you think small, you will live small. If you think defeated, you will live defeated. But if you think renewed, you will live renewed. And the moment you commit to renewing your thoughts, you set your destiny on a new trajectory, one that aligns with purpose, faith, and the abundant future waiting for you. Its transformation begins with a thought revolution, because nothing changes outwardly until something shifts inwardly. Too often, people try to change their circumstances without ever confronting their thinking. They want a better career, healthier relationships, financial stability, or spiritual growth, but they keep recycling the same thought patterns that created the very problems they want to escape. That's why transformation doesn't start with a new environment or a new opportunity. It starts with a new mindset. Revolution means a radical, dramatic, and complete change. It's not about tweaking one or two thoughts. It's about turning your entire mental framework upside down so that you see life, yourself, and God from a higher perspective. Your thoughts are the foundation of every action you take. Before you speak, you think. Before you decide, you think. Before you build, you think. And so if the foundation is cracked, everything you build on top of it will be unstable. A thought revolution is about fixing the foundation. It's about challenging long-held beliefs that have dictated your identity, your limits, and your habits. Transformation cannot be partial. It requires a complete revolution within your mind, a rewiring that shifts you from bondage to freedom, from survival to thriving, from fear to faith. Think about how powerful thoughts really are. A single thought can birth courage or fear. A single thought can spark an invention that changes the world, or a lie that keeps someone bound in insecurity for decades. Nations have been built on thoughts. Wars have been started with them. Peace has been brokered by them. So, when you decide to begin a thought revolution, you're not just adjusting something small inside of you. You're igniting the greatest power you have been given, the power to transform your entire life by what you allow to live in your mind. Transformation begins when you stop allowing old, recycled thoughts to dictate your future. Many people live on autopilot, thinking the same thoughts every day, replaying the same fears, the same doubts, the same regrets, like a broken record. And because those thoughts are repeated daily, they become beliefs, and those beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies. A thought revolution requires you to break that cycle. It demands that you challenge the repetitive soundtrack in your mind and replace it with something new, something life-giving, something aligned with where you are going instead of where you've been. One of the first steps in a thought revolution is awareness. You cannot change what you don't recognize. Many of us live in such mental noise that we don't even notice how negative or limiting our inner dialogue has become. A thought revolution requires you to pause and listen to your thoughts. Ask yourself, what am I rehearsing in my mind every day? Am I constantly telling myself I can't, I'm not enough, I'll never succeed? Or am I rehearsing truth, possibility, and faith? Awareness exposes the lies so that you can replace them with truth. After awareness comes intentional replacement. A revolution doesn't happen by accident. It happens through decisive action. You can't just stop thinking negative thoughts, you must replace them with empowering ones. When a thought of fear arises, replace it with faith. When doubt whispers in your ear, replace it with confidence in your ability and God's purpose. When regret floods your mind, replace it with gratitude for lessons learned and opportunities ahead. A thought revolution is not passive. It is a daily battle in which you deliberately choose what will stay in your mind and what will be evicted. Transformation also requires consistency. One positive thought today will not erase decades of negative programming. Just like you don't get physically fit by going to the gym once, you don't transform your mind with a single day of positive thinking. A revolution is fought over time. Daily affirmations, daily prayer, daily meditation, daily rejection of toxic input, daily discipline in what you read, watch, and listen to. Over time, those consistent choices create new mental pathways, and soon what once felt forced becomes natural. Another key to a thought revolution is the company you keep. Thoughts are contagious. If you surround yourself with small-minded, negative, bitter people, their thoughts will invade yours. If you surround yourself with dreamers, visionaries, encouragers, and people of faith, their mindset will elevate yours. Sometimes, transformation requires not just changing your thoughts, but changing your... A revolution is about creating an atmosphere where your new thoughts can thrive, not be choked out by the weeds of negativity around you. It's also important to realize that a thought revolution requires courage. Why? Because your old thoughts are comfortable. They are familiar, even if they are destructive. Stepping into new thinking feels like stepping into the unknown. It means daring to believe you're capable of more than what you've seen. It means daring to hope again after disappointment. It means daring to trust God's promises when everything around you screams otherwise. Transformation isn't for the faint of heart, it's for those bold enough to declare war on the old mindset that has kept them stuck and to embrace the revolutionary power of new faith-filled thinking. The beauty of a thought revolution is that it doesn't just change your mind, it changes your identity. As you begin to think differently, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop identifying as broken, limited, or defeated, and start identifying as strong, capable, and destined. And when your identity shifts, your behavior follows. You walk with more confidence, you pursue bigger opportunities, you treat yourself and others with more respect. The transformation is holistic because the revolution started at the root, your thoughts. Imagine your life as a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds, your words are the water, your actions are the sunlight, and your habits are the soil. If your garden is filled with weeds, you can't just cut them down, you must uproot them and plant new seeds. That's what a thought revolution does. It uproots the weeds of fear, insecurity, and doubt, and plants seeds of hope, faith, and vision. Over time, the garden of your mind flourishes, and the fruit is transformation in every area of your life. A thought revolution also aligns you with divine purpose. God has plans for your life, but you can't step into them with a defeated mindset. A renewed, revolutionary way of thinking positions you to walk in alignment with His will. Where you once saw obstacles, you now see opportunities. Where you once settled, you now strive. Where you once doubted, you now trust. Transformation is not just about self-improvement, it's about aligning your life with the higher calling for which you were created. At the end of the day, transformation is not an event, it is the result of a thought revolution that you choose to start today. Every breakthrough begins with a new thought, every success is birthed from a new mindset. Every change in destiny starts when you dare to think differently. And when you commit to this revolution, your future will no longer be limited by your past. You will step into a life that reflects the greatness that has been inside of you all along, unlocked, unleashed, and unstoppable because your thoughts have been trained. If you hear nothing else I've said today, hear this: your life will rise or fall to the level of your thinking. You cannot live above the ceiling of your mind. If your thoughts are small, your life will shrink. But if your thoughts are big, if your thoughts are rooted in faith, if your thoughts are anchored in possibility, then nothing will be impossible to you. Don't you dare walk out of here still chained to the lies you've been telling yourself. Don't you dare settle for the soundtrack of defeat playing in your head. Today is the day you draw the line in the sand and declare a revolution in your mind. Today is the day you evict fear, you silence doubt, you cancel every word the enemy ever spoke over you, and you begin to think like the child of God that you are. I came to tell somebody, your future is waiting on you, not waiting on your neighbor, not waiting on your boss, not waiting on the economy. It's waiting on you to change your thoughts. Because when your thoughts change, your vision changes. When your vision changes, your decisions change, and when your decisions change, your destiny changes. Stop letting your past dictate there. Stop letting old wounds, old failures, old voices keep writing the chapters of your life. Pick up the pen, renew your mind, think higher, dream bigger, believe stronger. Your transformation begins the moment you dare to think differently. So today, I release you into your future with a new mind. I release you into new opportunities with a new perspective. I release you into destiny with a renewed identity. The chains are broken, the limits are lifted, the lies are silenced, because you've decided to change your thoughts, and in doing so, you've changed your future. Now go forth, walk in it, live in it, think it, and watch the future God promised unfold before your very eyes.